chair.
That's the one that we use to stop and tell stories and pick up things and share things and stuff like that. So.
If you want to introduce yourself, first just go ahead and tell me what
Well, hi, I'm Renee Taylor. I've lived in Notus since 1970. My husband has been here all of his life, and my in-laws came here in the late 1930s, and they ran and operated a gas station, which later became known as the Conoco gas station, as some of you are familiar with some of the name brands of gas stations. And ironically, growing up, my grandparents also ran a gas station, so it was kind of later down the road they kind of found out that they knew each other, or they knew delivery people, the same people. So it was kind of interesting that that happened many years later, that we crossed paths.
So like I mentioned to you before, I think the story that we're trying to tell is how little communities like Notus are trying to preserve some history.
Exactly, yeah.
Tell me why that's so important.
It's very important because we take it for granted that everything is going to be there when we come back to it, and that's not true. Every day that goes by, things change, and once it changes, that becomes history, and so it can be lost. For instance, if you try to remember what it was so important that you did in high school, you have to sit there and think for quite a while. You probably don't remember. A few years go by. A lot of us have grandparents that told us stories about what it was like to live through the Depression, and how it was to live through a world war, what that was like, how people felt, the things that they had to do to get by, to just live every day. And the way that we even live today of making money and how we obtain our food and our clothing has changed immensely. Explaining to children when they come into the museum what an iron is and the purpose of an iron, even something as simplistic as that, has been lost through generations, because the generation before them probably just barely know about it, but they do remember their grandmother standing over starching shirts and things like that and using stuff to do that. So one of the great things, I think, is that people are interesting, and their lives are interesting, and they mattered. And they matter not only to the people that they're related to, but they matter in history. And so everybody has a story to tell. And if somebody doesn't jot it down, there's been many times we have said through the years that we wished we had recorded even the voices of these older people that are no longer here. And it's a great point to say in that is the World War II veterans. I never thought that I would live to see that generation is very quickly passing away. I mean, I would hear about the World War I, which seemed like eons ago. And so now we're looking at them, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, soon it'll be the Vietnam War, which is my generation, and I'm like, so if somebody doesn't stop and record these things, who's going to do it? And there's a great quote, and I wish that I knew exactly what I could say it, repeat it. And I wish that I knew who it was that said it, but I remember it, and it's so profound. We must know our past before we can know our future. And so, if somebody doesn't do it, and I believe like Notus and Middleton and Parma and Wilder, we seem to be kind of the, not disregarded, but less looked at cities in Canyon County. And we are no less important than Nampa or Caldwell, which I am from Nampa, than they are. And we feel like we have a story to tell, and we have a place in history. And we helped carve out this county. So we do have something important to say, and we have something to contribute. And I think it's interesting. I think that when you'll come in here, and even to the other museums that we have in the county, we're excited about being able to tell our story about the people that have lived here, and why they came here, what they did while they were here.
That's great. That's actually perfect.